Okay, so tonight's video is actually going to be a direct comparison. So this is my working wave, and right behind it is the QP16, which is not running at the moment. You can kind of get an idea of size. I have the QP angled slightly, and you can see it's a hair longer. Obviously, the big thing to note is you only have the ability to angle the wave to a small degree. I mean, if I were to angle the phone, this video, it's kind of to that, to about that off the glass. I know it's a little weird way to show the angle. Just turn my glove on to reach in there for a moment. Versus the QP is your typical, if you're familiar with Jabo, it's kind of the exact same way that it's fully rotatable, however you want to move it. One quick thing, you can see some of the, the cavitation. Again, I have some particulate in my tank right now to kind of be able to show this. I turned up the sand a little bit. Both the wave and the QP are on. And the important thing to note, the QP is on the left over here, the wave on the right, and you can see that the QP has a wider, and I guess you could say almost like a taller flow. So when it comes out, it's not as narrow as the wave is, which I was not expecting. Everything I've read said the wave was pretty wide of a flow, but I've not been experiencing that since I put the QP in here. And quite frankly, I'm even happier now with the QP than the wave, since I've had it for about 2 days now. I've been running it. Full polyp extension off everything. When I put some reefroids in here or anything like that at night to feed, I mean, stuff just churns. And you can see this millie right here. It's just fully out. I mean, it's the hairiest I've ever seen it. Well, hairiest I've ever seen it for quite a while. The Disney there is fully out to a degree, but it's actually out on the left-hand side more than the right, which is a little abnormal for it. But I think it's because it likes a little bit more of a flow from the QP that it's getting, as opposed to the wave, which is actually right near it. So everything seems to be really living up to the QP. So tonight's video, real quick, is actually going to be, I'm going to shut off the other QP on the left-hand side. I will leave the RW, the PP8s, I guess, in the back, and my returns on, because it doesn't really matter. The first video kind of showed that the wave didn't quite have the uptick, but it might have been because of the rock work over here. So apples to apples, I put the other QP right next to it, so it's going to have the exact same flow with that rock right next to it, and we're going to see, whether it's able to continue to live up to the expectation. Okay, so again, the other QP is off. The wave is at 100%, so we're going to go apples to apples here. It's pounding away at the moment. If we take a quick glance at the uptick here, there is some particulate coming up, and again, I stirred up my sand bed, so to kind of really churn some stuff in here. But you can see that it's pulling to a small degree, but not very much. It's mainly the other pumps really pushing stuff around. So let me turn that off, and I'm actually going to turn on a QP. Alright, so the QP is on, and it's a little bit hard to tell. I'll actually flip this back over and show it in a second, but I'll flip to the wave so you can see. So you can actually see the QPs churning the top of the water, and you can see everything just flying in this tank at the moment. Again, it's at 100%, so we're going to do apples to apples tonight. But the big thing from before, and I don't know how good it's going to pick up because there's a little bit of down. I guess I should have come on the side before. You can see this pump is just sucking stuff up right underneath it. And I'll do the side shot. I'll turn the wave back on here in just 1 second. But it is just churning stuff up underneath. The undertow is amazing. So again, it's just really recirculating the water, and I think it's just a design flaw with the wave that this kind of the grading on the wave at the bottom is really narrow as opposed to the large intake gills of the way the QP is set up. So let's flip the wave back on, and again I'll go to the side so you can see the side here. So here's the wave on 100%. And I don't know if it's really easy to tell on the camera here, but it's considerably different. I'm not seeing any of the particulate actually being sucked up to the base of the wave. I'm actually seeing it pushed around the bottom, which is mainly due to the return that's kind of hitting over here in the front corner of the tank. It's actually not beating out my return at all. And I'm running an SP6 on this tank, which is feeding a chiller and a couple of reactors. So, max gallon per hour coming through the system, maybe 1,500 gallons per hour. Actually, it's 1-inch plumbing, so the max is running 1,000 gallons per hour because it's as much as you can send gravity feed through 1-inch plumbing. So split between 2 nozzles, you're talking 500 gallons an hour, and it's pushing the stuff around, versus a 4,000 gallon per hour wave actually doesn't have enough suction to pull it really up and into the intake gills there. So I am getting further and further impressed by the QP, and this whole journey started because my other wave died, and it's a $200, $180 to replace it. For 100 and a little bit north of that, I got 2 QP16s. So if you do the math and everything, you're kind of figuring, all right, so 2 waves, the 1-link module that needs for the Apex, you're talking $450 versus 2 QP16s that wirelessly sync to one another, you're talking $220, $220. And then if you spend an extra $70, you can get the AP1 module, which will actually link it up to my Apex, which is the next purchase I'll be making, so I can sync these 2 together and program them right in my Apex. So again, I guess one last thing, the water on the top here, I don't know if it's that easy to tell with this, but it just doesn't churn. You can't see the wave pattern at the top pushing to the left. You see a little bit, obviously there's agitation, but that's because of my PP8s and the return plumbing, but you're not seeing kind of the stream at the top. Again, just a very narrow band coming off these waves. So I guess that'll do it for tonight. I'm going to kind of play around with settings and see how I can sync everything up together and see where this all goes from there. But as of now, every scorebook that I would do, with the exception of maybe size, the QP16 is winning. It's a little bit bigger, but that extra size also comes with the ability to aim it in more ways. So toss up, I guess. The only question mark obviously is durability. I got 20 months out of one wave. The other wave's on 21 months at the moment. I'm actually still have to send the damaged wave into Neptune to see how much they're going to charge me to have it repaired. But then it's, my Jabo PP8s have been going for 2 years. So they're the same age as the waves. I got an RW4 in my sump that's 3 years old, 4 years old at this point. So I don't know. I mean, people say it's a toss away, or you should really spend the money on quality, and perhaps you should. I don't know. I'd rather spend the money on corals and salt and stuff like that, and kind of deal with a slightly larger footprint in my tank, and have better stuff that's going in here. So that's where everything currently sits. I guess kind of give the obligatory shot of the tank. How many fishies in there? So a lot of them hiding because they turned my lights back on to take this video and they're not too happy. But I guess any questions, put them in the comments. I'll read them, and then stay tuned. I'll probably be posting up another couple videos as we continue on for this week, is kind of do my 7-day review series on these pumps. And then next week I'll probably going to be going through the remainder of the tank and covering some things like my calcium reactor. I'll cut some frags on video, things along those nature. So stay tuned. Thanks.